For many new parents, the idea of reading to a new infant seems pointless. The thought might be, "He's too young. He has no idea what I'm saying. He can't understand a word." Indeed, a new infant cannot understand a word, but hearing words associated with pictures or objects begins the process of allowing the infant to decode and understand speech. A detrimental and false assumption is that if an infant is too young to speak, then he is too young to understand. This assumption is incorrect. Infants can and should develop a large recognition vocabulary well in advance of their development of speech. Here we see a typical example. This infant girl is way too young to speak, but she has a good recognition vocabulary.
Okay, ready? Caroline, find the jelly. Find that jelly for Mommy. That's right. Did you find the jelly? Good girl. Can you find the corn? Where's the corn? Where's the corn? That's right. Yay, Caroline. Where's the baby? That's right. Can you find the ball? She found the ball. Good girl. Yay. Can you find the mirror? Where's the mirror, Caroline? That's right. And what do you do when you look in the mirror? Kiss the baby. Can you find the keys? That's right. You got the key. Can you point to the thing that would go meow, meow? Which thing goes meow, meow? Meow, meow. That's right. The Caroline. Can you find the shiny red fire truck? Where's the fire truck? That's right. Can you find the dog? Where's the dog? Woof, woof, woof. Caroline, which one does Mommy use to start her car? What does Mommy have to use to start the car? Yes, we have to use keys. We do. That's right. Very good. Okay. Here are two toys. Which ones bounce? Bouncy, 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 bounce. That ball does bounce. You're right. Caroline, can you find something that you wear on your feet? What's something you wear on your feet? Yes, you wear shoes on your feet. Very good. Which one says, bow, wow, wow, woof, woof? That's right. Which one goes, beep, beep? The car goes, beep, beep.
This is not an exceptional child. Instead, this performance is typical of an infant who receives daily board book reading sessions. In 1985, the U.S. Department of Education's Commission on Reading examined 10,000 research findings and issued a report called Becoming a Nation of Readers. The study concluded that the single most important activity for building the knowledge required for eventual success in reading is reading aloud to children. Let's begin by talking about how to read to infants. When reading to infants, the purpose is to familiarize them with speech and to help them decode speech. Board books and picture books allow the parent to point to items and to name them. Well before they can speak, infants develop recognition vocabulary and the ability to point to the correct picture when asked to do so. It's very difficult for infants to decode and understand speech by hearing nothing but a flood of words from conversations or from television shows. Here are some pointers for reading to infants. First, select board books with bright colors, realistic pictures, and simple messages. Books with moving parts can be especially engaging. When reading to infants, you don't have to read all of the words or all of the pages. Number 3. A key is to point to things and to name them. Allow your infant to point to things and to turn pages. A mistake is to only read continuously, presenting only a constant flood of words. The term reading to infants does not describe the process fully, because the process involves reading and pointing and discussing and allowing the infant to interact with the book. Number 5. As your child's skill develops, continue to introduce more books and build the vocabulary larger. By 18 months, your baby may understand 50 to 100 words. Hopefully, before age 2, your child develops the naming insight. The insight that names refer to things and that everything has a name. Now let's talk about reading to toddlers. After age 2, babies acquire vocabulary at an astounding rate, averaging about 8 to 10 words a day. By age 6, a child should understand about 13,000 words. During this period of rapid vocabulary development, it's important to continue to introduce new books and new words. Here's why. If the child has never heard the word, the child will never say the word. If the child has neither heard it nor said it, it's pretty tough for the child to read it or write it. A typical child from a background of low reading exposure enters kindergarten with a listening vocabulary of about 3,000 words, while a typical child of high reading exposure enters with a listening vocabulary of about 20,000 words. This represents an 8-year spread in competence, with some children having the vocabulary of a 2-year-old, while others have the vocabulary of a 10-year-old. The notion that a child can catch up is not supported by the research. In fact, the research points to the opposite. The gap is more likely to widen than to shrink. One study found that first graders who were not reading on grade level by the end of the year had only a 1 in 10 chance of ever achieving grade-level reading proficiency. Most researchers agree that the most important period in education is not the age of university studies, but the first one, the period from birth to age 6. Here are some pointers for reading to toddlers. First of all, keep the reading experience fun. You want to make your child want to read, not avoid it. Establishing a pre-bedtime reading ritual is a great practice. Number 2. Young toddlers like books with an easy-to-follow story that moves at a fast pace. Select books that can be completed in less than 10 minutes. Plan to read several books at each reading session. Number 3. Rereading favorite books is a great practice, but new books must be introduced every few weeks. Number 4. Rather than reading in a monotone fashion, parents should attempt some dramatization to add excitement to the process. Now let's talk about reading to older children. Older preschool children can sit for longer stories. They can follow longer storylines, and they can also understand humor. By choosing entertaining books, you can really boost a child's drive to want to learn to read. To sum up, the most important period of your child's education is the period before he or she starts school. This period will more likely determine their ultimate scholastic achievement more than any other period in their education. The key to success is everyday reading aloud. Doing it right, it should be an enjoyable experience that creates in your child a lifelong drive to want to read.